Hi everyone, Archmage's Farriston here, and today I'm very excited because Distant Worlds 2 has come out. And for those of you who played Distant Worlds 1, you know how vast and complex the game is. So I've created a rough guide how to play Distant Worlds 2, how to make your way through all the menus, and hopefully give you all some tips and tricks that will help you on your journey. Alright, let's get into it. You will come across enemies and creatures in your battles. One of them is the Gravelex. Fairly easy to kill. And you will find them here in the military menu. If you go to dangerous locations, it'll show you a list of all the creatures and enemies that you've seen recently, and it'll tell you the strength and when you saw them last, and you can actually queue the missions up to go take them out by clicking here. So I'll just show you another lot of creatures that I've found, and these ones are the Vorticar. So I'll just tell my fleet to move over there. Okay, so in combat you can get in pretty close and watch the animations. Here you can see it's down to 65%. Our ships, they have shields, armor and hull, seem to be holding up. Another one just died. And you'll see that they drop these carcasses here. And some components from your ships will break off in the battle. So here is a cargo container. And your construction ships can then salvage that. Okay, so my fleet's taken a bit of a beating. Let's tell them to refuel and repair by clicking down here. You'll see also you can retrofit to the latest designs. You can disband the fleet. The ships will not disappear, but just the fleet will disband. You can top them up with new ships. If you have a troop compartment, you can manage the troops here and here. You can set the fleet to be an attack, raiding, defense or invasion fleet. Here you can set whether you want it to be manually controlled or automatic. I have it on manual. And you can also set the tactics. And you'll see here that this ship is not moving. It's quite heavily damaged. 19% hull is all it has left. Reactor's offline, hyperdrive is offline. So let's schedule a construction ship to come help them out. Broken Bargain has no mission. So just right click and it's going to come and help him out. Getting back to the fleet screen, here you've got your military ships, all of them. I sort them by fleet, and then whenever I build new ships, the ones all the way at the bottom will not be allocated to a fleet. So what you can do is, let's find one that's not in a fleet. That's all in the 9th. Okay, so this is an assault destroyer. Let's add it by saying join ship to fleet. and we'll put him in the first. And then you'll see it'll jump back up to the top of the list. And then all we have here is the ships that are not yet in a fleet. So let's put this one in the second. This one is Admirals. Now it does take time to move an Admiral or a General to their actual fleet. You want to just take that into account. It will take a few months. Defensive bases, I haven't researched this yet, but that will come. Monitoring stations are quite useful. So we have one at USIL. And it basically expands your range so you can tell if enemy ships are going through or on the way to get you. Enemy targets. Now this I do use quite a lot. So this menu here, it will show you all the targets that are in range and that you can take out with your fleet. If it's grey like this, you can queue an attack. If it's dark like this one, you won't be able to. You probably don't have enough fuel or range, or they're too strong for you. Another good one is dangerous locations, which I showed you just before. Here you can see, for example, this one looks like a Gravelex. It's hanging out near a black hole. It's been seen recently, so you can click here and queue the threat investigation and clearance. Another one, here you see it's Vortikar, quite strong, 3,200, so you're going to need a pretty powerful fleet to take that out. Once you've clicked on the button, it'll go up here and basically you can schedule the mission. Another topic I'd like to talk about is how to deal with independent colonies. So you can see that I have a couple around me. I've got the human colony here at Uthoiri. I've got a Keterov colony here and a Wekarus colony here. So if you come over to your diplomacy screen and then click here in the middle on Independent Colonies, you can see that the Uthoiri, the strategy that we suggest or is suggested to us is diplomacy. And once you get this rating here up to a high enough number, they will ask to join your empire. So you can do this by offering treaties. At the moment we've got the highest treaty available, which is for trade anyway, which is free trade agreement. And you can also send them gifts, and all this is going to help to drive up this friendliness rating with them. And then eventually you can go to your colony screen and go to new colonies, and here you'll see it has 100% success. And if they're in range, this little flag will be light grey, and you can basically just click on it and you'll send a colony ship to go colonize this existing colony. Sounds a bit funny, but anyway, they will then join you. Now if you have another situation such as here, Sipan 1, you can see we have 0% chance of success, and they're not very happy with us. They're Keterov, they don't like humans that much. So let's go back here. They're displeased, so the strategy suggested to us is invasion. The thing is, if you invade them, you're going to get a bad reputation. So that's going to make it harder to deal with other neighbors. So those are two ways to incorporate independent colonies into your empire. Other independent empires you may just want to do trade with, make some money off them, and not necessarily conquer them or integrate them into your empire. Also very good in the beginning, get some trade money coming in. Next thing I'd like to talk about are pirates, how to deal with pirates. So you can see I've got a few gangs around me. Here the Malthur gang, Actarian Horde, Vicious Moon Raiders, and so on, Liberated of the Stars. I would strongly recommend that in the beginning of the game you pay the 125 credits and they will leave you alone because you won't have a fleet strong enough to take them on, and it's just not worth it. Later on in the game, once you're stronger and you've got not just one fleet, you maybe got 2 or 3 fleets, then you can start picking them off. I have actually chosen to keep around the Malthur gang because I have a few treaties with them. Let's just go to the pirates screen here. I have got a military refueling and a non-aggression treaty with them. So this is great. If my ships are near their territory, they can refuel with them. And this basically extends my range of operations. They leave me alone. And yeah, it works out for everyone. On the other hand, if you have pirates who are a different race, you can see here Liberated of the Stars, Rixul fleet. You can see they don't like us. We're a different civilization, a different race, and they are Harkonish. They hate humans. So yeah, these ones I'm just paying them off, and pretty soon I'm going to take them out with one of my fleets. So another reason I stayed friends with the Malthur gang is every few months they will offer up the location of a independent colony. They will also offer up for quite a cheap price an undiscovered system. It's only about 3,000 units. And once in a while they also offer up the locations of ruins and other things worth checking out. So I would recommend staying friends with 1 or 2 of the pirates. Can really be worthwhile. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the research screen. So you do have a few different scientists. The more bases, research bases you have, the more you can assign to scientists. And if we go here to the research screen, in the beginning you'll only have one technology tree that you can research. You can scroll out by pressing Control. Makes it a bit easier to view. And once you have a number of different scientists in different research bases, you then can do 2 projects at once. Some of these that have a yellow bar in the middle, basically we've stolen some of the technology, or we've retired an advanced ship and gotten the technology that way. So we can just click on one. Let's see, what have we got? All right, for example, efficient energy conversion. So let's click on that, and you'll have to pay some upfront costs, and that'll be scheduled. And as you can see, you can move it up and down. I'm going to put it back at the bottom, and so on. So in the beginning of the game, I would strongly recommend that you research stable warp fields. This will help you to leave your current star system and move around. In addition, advanced nuclear fission, deflectors is useful. I would also go for basically all these yellow ones here. Expanded civilian ships, space stations, space construction. Also very useful in the beginning of the game are scanners and being able to colonize, obviously. Just note, these technologies, the colonization technologies, take forever to research. So if you can steal the technology using spies, go for it, because it's really going to help you. I would suggest you just pick 1 or 2 planets, planet types, and just really go for that. I chose water and continental, and then later I got into temperate, so on like that. Once you start getting out into space, I would then, after you've researched these basic technologies, I usually start off by getting constant beam weapons and point defense. Don't try to go for everything, because you'll be a jack of all trades, but one weapon stream, whether it's torpedoes or missiles, railguns, and just make sure you're good in it. You've got a decent weapon platform in one of these streams. Later on in the game, you're going to be able to research other weapon types by stealing technology through to spies, and also by trading technology, buying it, or retiring advanced ships that you may find. The next thing I want to talk about is spies, how to do spying and espionage. So basically you will get spies that join your civilization over time, and these skills will only level up by actually putting them to use. So rather than just keeping this spy in counterintelligence, we can cancel the mission. We can select who we want to spy on. And I've found that spying on pirates is sometimes quite easy to get technology from them, but difficult to get territory maps in the beginning of the game. Later on it gets a bit easier. So anyway, you've got your spy. He's only done counterintelligence up until this point, so they will not have these skills, these traits here. I would really suggest that you do the first couple of missions as steal territory map, and once they get better at certain skills, you can then put them on to steal research information. And let's go for monitoring stations. The longer the time you give them, the more successful they're likely to be, and then you just press assign mission. A few months later, you'll get a report whether they were caught or they were successful and stole the research information and so on. But this is really a great way to move along the tech tree and get technologies that would just simply take forever if you relied on researching them. Exploration. So in the beginning of the game, you will start out with just a handful of exploration ships. I strongly recommend that you get as many as you can. I think 8 or 9 is a good number to start with, and then maybe build that up to 12 or even more. So I would strongly suggest you put them on fully automate. And another thing you can do is choose whether they spy on enemies, fully automate, whether they're manually controlled, or they're on auto explore. I've put 2 on auto explore. The reason is they will just jump into the system, explore it, but they will not survey. If you have exploration ships on fully automate or on survey, it takes forever to survey. So you end up discovering these new systems, but you have no idea what's in there because the ships are just surveying every little detail, every little asteroid and rock. So I've put 2 which are on auto explore. They just basically jump in, show me what's in the system, and then they jump onto the next one. Abandoned ships. So basically these are older ships from thousands of years ago that are advanced. You can queue your construction ships to repair them and investigate. So let's do that. And then that will send a construction ship to go fix them up. And then you can choose whether to keep this ship. Usually they're hyper advanced and really strong. So in the beginning of the game, it's worthwhile to keep it and beef up your fleet. Or you can say, let's retire it. And usually you'll get a lot of really cool technology. Special locations. Here you can see debris fields. We've already got construction ships lined up to go after them and fix up these old ships and yeah, basically get the technology and turn that ship into one of your own. When it comes to resources, Distant Worlds 2 is all about having access to a steady stream of resources. I would strongly suggest that you go here and then click on production shortage, because if you have a shortage of resources, you won't be able to make any ships. So here you can see I'm missing carbonite, I'm missing polymer, and I'm missing Caslon. So the next step is to basically go to new mining locations, and here you can say carbonite, and we see that Playheg, which is over here, is available. So let's build a mining station. Another one we can do, polymer. Okay, so Terra, actually our home planet. Terra has polymer, but you'll notice that this green field here surrounds the system. It's a labyrinth. So basically it turns off your ship's hyperdrives, and it takes them years and years and years to get through this fucking green field. So I would really recommend avoiding a labyrinth like this. You'll see it says Soul Labyrinth. There we go. Yeah, the juice is just not worth the squeeze. It takes so long to get through here. You're better off focusing on other planets. So you can also choose what type of resources, you know, whether it's luxury resources or construction resources. Here you have all your mining ships, fuel tankers, and of course new mining locations. So here you have a good overview, and you'll notice this red square that surrounds the resource icon. We have a production shortage, so it's a good idea to build it. Same here, Caslon, we don't have enough Caslon, so let's schedule a mining ship to go get that. On your colonies, you will find after a certain amount of time that your colonies will be made up of different races. So let's take example Tillis 2. Here you can see by clicking here that there's some Actarians living on the planet, only 5 million, along with 1,559 million humans. Now, if we wanted to stop, for example, insectoid races from coming to this planet to live, you can do that by clicking here on the white icon here. And here you can see Actarians, we accept and assimilate this race into the colony. Whereas Atuk, Boscara, Gizurian, Hakonish, and so on, we do not accept. So that means if a passenger ship comes to the planet, they will not be able to land. That ship will then turn around and go somewhere else. Another option is to press resettle. So what will happen is members of this race that are already on the planet will be shipped away on the next passenger ship. And then we have enslave. Of course, this brings about a bad impact to your reputation. However, those members of the species will not be killed. They will just be used for labor. So you'll get a higher economic output. And the final option is to exterminate them. So of course, this really gives you a bad impact on your reputation, and it will kill over time members of this species, and it will also create unrest at other colonies that have this race as well. So if you're killing off Boscara on one planet, it's going to upset the Boscara on another planet. So again, you can just access it here by clicking on the 3 white heads. Taxes you can change here, bottom left hand corner. Of course, the higher your taxes are, the slower your population growth. So in the beginning of the game, you want to have low taxes, and then once the colony gets up to several 100 million, then you can gradually increase your taxes. there are hundreds of messages that you will get. You will feel probably bombarded with different messages, and the level of customization is just extremely granular. So one thing I would really suggest in the beginning of the game is to go here to the top left and then press here, policy settings, or you can just press P, and I would go through them. So colonization, if you press this I here with the dots, basically the advisors will make a suggestion to you which planet to colonize, but they will not implement it unless you actually say yes. So you'll get like a little message over here on the right hand side, and you'll have to basically say yes or no. This one here to the left with the ticks next to it, suggest and execute. It's a similar situation. You'll get a suggestion, but if you just ignore it or you don't see the message, the advisors will go ahead and implement it, whether you say yes or no to it. A is for automation, pretty self-explanatory. The AI will just colonize on your behalf. You won't have to make any decisions. And M is manual. You have to do that all by yourself. One thing I would suggest is for ship construction to put that on manual. Otherwise the AI has a habit of just producing all kinds of ships that you don't need, and then this thing up here, your cash flow, is going to be heavily in the red. It's going to be in minus. One thing I would also put on manual is research and crash research. I like being able to choose what my empire is researching. I don't want the AI to do that for me. The next thing I want to talk about is the economy. It's the economy, stupid. So for those familiar with Distant Worlds 1, you'll know that there's a private economy and also a state-run economy. So the private economy basically consists of freighters and passenger vessels. If you don't have enough freight moving, enough trade, then you will probably be in quite a lot of financial difficulty. If you are building lots of military ships, they go to the front of the line, in the construction line, that is. So it's important to not neglect the private side of the economy. Let your shipyards produce cargo, transporters, and so on, because this is literally the lifeblood of your economy. This all drives your cash flow. So you can see here our annual expenses. A lot of it's from ships and bases, but also from troop maintenance. So you also want to keep an eye on the AI, because the AI has a tendency to produce lots and lots of soldiers, and they cost money. You probably can reduce a bit the number of garrisons you have on your planets. But yeah, if you scroll down here, you'll see the private economy, private ship maintenance, tourism, fuel, and so on. But the point is, tourists bring in money to your empire. Cargo traders bring in money to your empire. So you want this part to flourish. I touched earlier on garrisons and how having large garrisons will cost you a lot of money. If we go to one of our colonies, let's go to our main colony. Here at the bottom of the screen, these 5 dots, manage troops. So you can see that I have a huge military. I'm able to produce armor as well as strike troopers at this point, because I have a armor barracks, which you will research. The point is, all these soldiers cost money, and I probably don't need so many. I have a strength of 15,000. Most planets will have a strength of 200 to 400. So you can easily conquer them with, let's say, troops of 800 to 1,000 in strength. So we have way too many soldiers at this point. And this costs a lot of money. So I'm going to have to tweak the automation and make sure the AI isn't going crazy producing all these soldiers. When it comes time to invade your neighbors, let's select a troop transporter. You can see they're near my main planet. Click on the transporters, and then down here, load troops at Tillis 4. So they will then go to Tillis. You'll see them moving over now. So at the moment they've got 30,000 troops. They can fit 62,500. And they have a strength of 693. Let's speed it up a bit. So you can see our ships coming here. We've now got 50,000. Okay, so we've now got a strength of 1,197. If we go to enemy targets, you will see quite a few of these targets are between 200 and 400. So we could easily kick their ass. The problem is fuel. So they're out of our range. This one, in fact, however, this mining station is within our range. So we could attack that if we wanted. So I really recommend using this enemy targets page here and dangerous locations as well, which I've already mentioned. Alright everyone, those are my tips for Distant Worlds 2. I'll be creating new videos in the near future, but I hope that helped, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.